Hello, this is Emily. Welcome back to my channel, and today I am doing a video that I am dreading because I don't want to think about this number, and that is my dirty 30. I did recently turn 28 this year, so in January of 2024 I will be hitting the big 30, and so I have compiled a list of 29 books that I need to tackle before I hit 30. So I'm going to go over all those books I plan on reading before my big 30th birthday, which I hope never happens because I really don't want to turn 30, but I guess we'll go ahead and go through all these books I need to read before I turn 30. Now, this list of books are going to be kind of a mixture of books I really want to read. There's going to be some classics mixed in and a bunch of literary fictions dealing with some difficult topics. So it's going to be a wide range of stuff. And I'm not going to go too in depth on the details. I'll probably just give a brief overview so I'm not here all day. But before that, if you want to go ahead and click the subscribe button down below, that would be greatly appreciated. And let's hop right on in and get through this video together. I've seen a lot of people on BookTube raving about Becky Chambers' works, and I've never read anything of hers. So I would like to try to tackle The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet before I hit 30. And basically this is just a science fiction that I believe is just a space adventure. So I do hope I enjoy it. The next book I want to try to tackle before I'm 30 is a chunker, and that's Battle Royale by Koshan Takami. I apologize if I butchered that name. And basically this is kind of a fight to the death, winner takes all type book where this class is basically fighting to the last one standing. So sounds gory, sounds entertaining, and I hope I enjoy it. I want to try to tackle The Dark Vault by Victoria Schwab. This is a bind up of the two books in the Dark Vault series. However, the series was never completed. However, I do want to try to tackle this work, and maybe one day she'll come back to finishing the series. I've read a lot of Taylor Jenkins Reid. However, I have not read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I know I'm way behind the times because everybody's read this book, it feels like. So I do want to try to tackle this book before 30. Another book I want to tackle is The Miracles of the Namiya General Store. I'm going to post it somewhere in the screen. I don't have the physical copy on my hands right now because it's actually part of a separate project I have going on this year. But that is a book I do want to tackle, and I believe it's following a group of delinquents that spend the night in a abandoned general store and kind of share their life stories throughout the night. Another chunker I want to tackle is The Count of Monte Cristo, which is just an epic classic, and it's quite a hefty commitment. I want to tackle The Witness for the Dead by Catherine Addison, and I believe this serves kind of like a prequel to The Goblin Emperor, which I did enjoy that novel when I did read it back, I believe in 2019 was when I tackled it, and I was so excited that another work set in that world was released, so I'm hoping I enjoy this one. I want to read The Antidote for Everything, which is a literary fiction where these doctors are forced with making the choice of keeping their jobs or treating transgender patients. So I believe this is going to be a very hard-hitting book, and I do look forward to reading it. Another older book that I want to read is The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold, which is following this girl who's basically murdered, and we're seeing through her eyes her afterlife as she kind of discovers who her killer was and how those around her are coping with her death and moving on without her in the world. So I'm sure this is going to be a very tough book to read, but I do look forward to reading it. I want to tackle Who Fears Death. I don't want to butcher the name, so I'm not even going to attempt it. But this is by the same author who wrote the Binti series. And basically this is set in a dystopian world, and we're going to follow a woman and her child who was born of rape. This is probably going to be a very difficult book to read. However, I think it's a book that I should read before I'm 30. and I do hope I'm able to find a little joy in it despite such a heavy topic that it's going to be about. To break up all the big chunkers, here's a little cute book I want to read, which is The Little Prince, which is a short story, and I hope I do enjoy it, and I hope I can read it before I turn 30. The next book I want to tackle is Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin, and this is set in 1950s Paris, following a young man dealing with the challenges of either loving freely or the conventional morality of that time. I want to tackle The Phantom Tollbooth, which is a children's classic following Milo and his journey to the lands beyond. Another chunker I want to tackle is Arcanum Unbounded by Brandon Sanderson, which is a bind-up of several short stories of his set in his, I believe, Cosmere universe, and there might be some Cytonic universe in here too, but mostly is from the Cosmere. Another classic I want to tackle is I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith, which is following a teenage girl and her lives inside of a castle and kind of her coming of age and growing up and all that. I want to tackle Carrie by Stephen King, which I believe is his first official published work. And of course, we all know the movie and all that. So I do want to read the book for that, hit classic movie. Another hit classic I want to tackle is The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells, and I hope I do enjoy it. I want to read 30 Life Crisis by Lisa Schwartz, which is kind of like a memoir and inspirational of how she dealt with her 30s. I want to read Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut, which is basically a anti-war book, which I think is fitting for the times we're in today. I'm going to read The Humans by Matt Haig, which is following an alien that's trying to get by impersonating a human and gathering intelligence. Another book I want to tackle is Miss Dalloway by Virginia Woolf, and I believe this is a book set in the early 1900s, possibly, following a single woman in her day-to-day life. I want to tackle The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, which obviously it's another sci-fi and it's a classic, so eventually I want to tackle this, and I'm excited because I got my hands on an illustrated edition, so I can't wait to read it. I want to tackle Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I don't know too much about this one because I was warned it's better to go in without knowing much, so I haven't really read the synopsis. However, this is, I think, a dystopian style sci-fi, and I look forward to reading it. I want to read Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas, and basically I just want to finish the Throne of Glass series before I turn 30, so hopefully I can get this tackled before then. I want to tackle If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio, which I believe is basically following this guy that gets released from prison after being there for 10 years after taking the blame for someone else regarding a murder back at their university. I want to read Burial Rites by Hannah Kent, which is following this lady, Agnes, who is accused of brutally murdering two men out in Iceland. So she is sentenced to exile, out in the middle of nowhere on this farm while waiting for her execution. I want to read Born by Jeff Vandermeer, which is another sci-fi, and I believe it's following the experiments, so they're not really fully human or something like that. Not 100% sure, but it's a book I do want to tackle before I hit my 30s. The final book I want to tackle is Pet Sematary by Stephen King. This was a movie I adored watching as a child. Probably shouldn't have loved it so much, but it was one of my favorite go-to horror movies growing up. So I do want to read the physical book that this movie has been adapted from, and so I do hope to tackle this before I hit my 30s. Hey, this is me post-edit. I realized I forgot to add a book in the video, so I'm going to throw it in right now, and that is True Biz by Sarah Novick, which is a book following a group of students who attend a school for the deaf. So this is another book I plan on reading before I turn 30. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, feel free to click the like and subscribe button down below. Also, feel free to comment some of your books you plan to read by a certain date or time in your lives. And I look forward to seeing you guys in my next video.